The 100 horsepower John Deere 612OM was already idling when I saw the concrete collars curing around the steel posts, driven straight through my pasture. There were hundreds of them, planted in a straight promotional line along my highway frontage, like someone had mistaken visibility for ownership. Each post carried a glossy board, promising a luxury retail complex that did not yet exist, on land that still very much did. The concrete at the base was still dark and wet, which told me they were not experimenting. They were committing. I parked along the fence and stepped out without shutting the tractor down because the field still required maintenance regardless of interruption. 2 men were packing tools into the back of a branded pickup, while a third stood reviewing something on a tablet. The one holding the tablet introduced himself as the development manager, speaking quickly as if momentum could replace permission. I told him clearly that he was installing structures on titled agricultural land without authorization. He smiled and tapped the contract in his hand, explaining that the closing was scheduled for next month and that I was getting ahead of the paperwork. Explained that paperwork controls possession and that possession had not transferred. He responded that by the time anyone argued, the advertising exposure would already justify the effort. I issued one warning. I told him that fixtures installed before legal transfer would be treated as trespass and handled accordingly. One of the crew laughed and said removing concrete set steel would cost more than ignoring it. The manager nodded and added that farmers usually preferred a quiet settlement to public embarrassment. They finished smoothing the quick-crete collars and drove away, satisfied with what they believed was practical inevitability. The posts remained, hardening by the hour. Concrete does not negotiate once it cures. Steel anchored in hardened collars does not lift cleanly without labor and time. They were counting on both. I walked the entire frontage that afternoon, counting 183 signs embedded into productive grazing ground. Each post displaced soil that I rotate for feed management to preserve my agricultural tax classification. Each sign interrupted mowing paths that I rely on for predictable maintenance cycles. Manual removal would require rented equipment and days of disruption. Disruption is expensive when margins are seasonal. I called my attorney before I called anyone else. He confirmed that the developer had no easement, no license, and no possessory right. He also reminded me that unauthorized improvements placed on private land can be removed by the title holder without constituting vandalism. Ownership is not emotional, it is structural. I reviewed my maintenance schedule for the week. Pasture control mowing was already planned before the signs arrived. The land does not pause because someone installs optimism into it. Behind my equipment shed sat the PTO-driven industrial flail mower I use for heavy brush, invasive growth, and storm debris. It is not delicate equipment. It is designed to encounter resistance and convert it into fragments small enough to reintegrate with soil. The drum carries rows of hardened steel flails mounted on pivoting links built to absorb shock. At operating speed, those flails rotate with enough kinetic force to fracture wood, plastic, and thin metal. I backed the tractor into alignment and secured the 3-point hitch with the same methodical routine I follow every season. Routine keeps action defensible. The power takeoff shaft locked in with a metallic click that sounded like confirmation. Hydraulics lifted the mower slightly as I lined up with the first row of signs. Concrete hardens stronger over time, but physics does not lose interest. I lowered the mower. The drum began to spin, chains and blades forming a blurred cylinder beneath the housing. I advanced at a steady ground speed calculated to ensure consistent contact time per obstacle. The first impact sounded like a sheet of metal collapsing in on itself. The steel post bent at its midpoint before snapping near the collar. The plastic board shattered into sharp fragments that shot backward and downward. The flails wrapped momentarily around twisted steel before centrifugal force flung it free. The concrete collar cracked once its vertical support failed. Fragments scattered but remained contained within the mowing path. I did not increase speed. Uniform destruction prevents unpredictable debris. Row after row folded under rotational force. Impact led to bending. Bending led to structural failure. Failure led to fragmentation. The mower climbed over broken steel without hesitation. The housing absorbed most of the recoil while ejecting reduced material behind me. There was no pause for reconsideration. There was no second warning. There was only mechanical continuity applied across unauthorized structures. 5 minutes of steady advancement erased 183 signs. Where upright posts had stood, there was now twisted scrap and scattered plastic. The pasture surface remained intact beneath the debris field. Soil compresses under impact but retains its function when force is distributed. I shut down the PTO and let the drum wind down slowly. Silence returned to the field without announcement. I documented everything. Photographs from the fence line before engagement. Video footage of routine mowing over unauthorized fixtures. Close-ups of cracked concrete collars and bent steel. Documentation converts action into record. By early afternoon, the developer returned. His SUV stopped abruptly at the edge of the frontage, as if disbelief required braking distance. He stepped out and stared at what remained of his campaign. He asked what had happened. I explained that I had completed scheduled pasture maintenance on land still recorded in my name. He gestured toward the scrap and said that represented $12,000 in advertising expenditure. I reminded him that expenditures do not convert trespass into entitlement. He mentioned litigation with the confidence of someone who has not reviewed title records. I handed him printed confirmation that closing had not occurred and possession had not transferred. I also handed him a formal trespass notice prepared that morning. His launch date did not alter the registry. His budget did not supersede the deed. Later that day, a deputy stopped by to review the situation after the developer called. The deputy examined the boundary markers and the county documentation. He confirmed that unauthorized installations had been placed on private agricultural land. There was no criminal complaint to file against the title holder for maintaining his own property. The developer left without further comment. Within a week, I received a letter proposing settlement to avoid escalation. There was nothing to settle. The land sale ultimately failed because financing contingencies require clear title and predictable possession timelines. Unauthorized activity complicates due diligence reviews. Complication reduces confidence. Confidence drives capital. I continued my maintenance schedule that season without obstruction. Steel remnants were collected and sold as scrap metal through routine channels. Plastic fragments were removed during standard cleanup. The soil recovered as soil always does when pressure is temporary. They had poured concrete into land they did not own to manufacture inevitability. They assumed inconvenience would discourage enforcement. They assumed acting first secured advantage. Ownership is not determined by who arrives with signage. It is determined by who holds recorded rights. Would you protect entitlement or enforce ownership? Subscribe if you prefer structure over arrogance.